Hi and welcome. No one loves having a difficult conversation at work, but most of us have had to do it. Because it's so common, knowing how to navigate a sensitive discussion effectively is essential. In this course, you'll learn a 4-step process for having that difficult conversation, so you can confidently engage your teammates and reach a place of mutual understanding. Let's start with why difficult conversations matter in the first place. We'll look at why the words we need to talk can feel so uncomfortable, and why avoiding these conversations often costs more than having them. Many people dread hearing, "we need to talk." Those words are usually a sign of something serious, and thoughts like, "what did I do?" or "am I in trouble?" come rushing in. But here's the thing. Being on the receiving end of a confrontation is never fun, and initiating one can feel just as uncomfortable. No matter which side you're on, a difficult conversation is challenging. Even so, they're necessary. Dealing with an issue head-on, whether it's confronting a coworker or having a frank talk with your boss, is always the best course of action. So what happens if we avoid these conversations instead? A few things. First, we tend to inflate the problem. The more we replay our frustrations in our head, the bigger and more complex they become. Second, we risk misinterpreting the situation, jump into conclusions without all the facts. And third, we miss out on an opportunity for growth. Confrontation, handled well, is actually a chance for both people to build self-awareness and make a positive change. Now that we understand why these conversations matter, let's move into the 4-step process. You'll learn what to do before, during, and after your discussion, so you can approach it with confidence. The first step is to prepare. As Alexander Graham Bell put it, before anything else, preparation is the key to success. Before you engage the other party, consider the issue from every angle and deal with your emotions first so they don't get in the way of a constructive conversation. Ask yourself 3 questions. What's the issue? Described in plain, factual terms. What do I actually want to achieve, focusing on long-term outcomes rather than just avoiding conflict? And how might the other party react so you're ready for both the best and worst case? The second step is to frame the conversation effectively. The first thing you say can completely change how the other person interprets everything that follows. Compare these 2 approaches to the same piece of feedback. The first is blunt and accusatory, and it puts the other person on the defensive right away. The second focuses on shared goals and growth and invites the other person to be part of the solution. What you say and how you say it are equally important. The third step is to actually discuss the issue. Remember, this is a discussion, not a lecture, so it needs to leave space for both people to speak. Start by stating the facts, then share your interpretation or the impact the situation had on you. And finally, ask for the other person's view. And once you've asked, listen actively. As Stephen Covey said, most people don't listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Real listening means giving the speaker your full attention. The fourth and final step is to wrap up the discussion. Timing really matters here. Ask yourself, have both people shared their thoughts? Do you understand their point of view? Have all your questions been answered? If you can say yes to all 3, it's time to close things out. Give a brief summary of the outcomes or action items and set a time to follow up, since one conversation might not be enough to fully resolve things. Let's put these skills into practice with a real scenario, and then review everything we've covered. Here's the situation. You've always had a good relationship with your sales manager, Gianna, but lately she's been short-tempered and critical of you in front of others. You decide to talk with her privately. If you jump straight into criticism, saying something like, "You've been overly critical of me and I'm sick of it," Gianna is likely to feel attacked and the conversation stalls. But if you frame it around shared goals, saying something like, "I felt discouraged because you've been critical of my work and I'd like to understand what's going on," you open the door to a real discussion. In this case, that approach works. Both of you share your perspectives, and you agree to check in weekly going forward. Let's recap what we've covered. Avoidance leads to bigger problems. Sidestepping conflict risks inflating the issue, misreading the situation, and missing a chance for growth. Preparation and framing are foundational. Evaluate the situation first and frame your message to open communication rather than shut it down. Active listening leads to real understanding. Put away distractions and give the other person your full attention. And finally, how you end the conversation matters just as much as how you start it. Summarize outcomes and set a time to follow up. Thank you for completing this course